What is up? This is Sean Longevity with New Old Heads Podcast and Bringing on the Band. And today I'm going to be talking about clips getting dropped from Def Jam, UMG, and the new information that has come out since we talked about it last night even.
No more clips at Def Jam, and you can blame Kendrick Lamar for that. So Pusha T and No Malice, they recently had an interview with GQ.
Is he going by No Malice still? I think he changed it back to just Malice.
Is it just Malice now? I don't know.
He want to be respectful, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought it was still No Malice. I could be wrong, but either way, they were with GQ. They were explaining how Def Jam and their parent company UMG sought to axe a Kendrick Lamar feature for the Clipse new album, and the label wanted to censor Kendrick's verse, and the Clipse declined. So Pusha T was in the interview basically saying, "We're not doing that, and y'all can either rock with us or not on this choice because we're not backing out from that." Eventually, the album, which is going to be called "Let God Sort 'Em Out," is going to be July 11th. It's going to be released on Rock Nation. So they left Def Jam. The way I understood it, Pusha T was also released as a solo artist.
Wow.
So everything went to Rock Nation at this point. I think this is dope. I like them staying on business, and I also like the Clipse.
It was funny first. He's like, I think this is dope that they got released.
Coming back together as one, because it's been a while since they put a project out. So I'm really excited to hear about that. They dropped a dope record. We're going to talk about that as well. But how does this decision make Def Jam look? Well, how do you guys feel about this?
All right. Well, let's dive into this. So this is the GQ article, and let's kind of read through it. So it said, still, it wouldn't be a Clipse album without some label woes, nearly derailing the fun even after the product was cooked to purity. The duo's lore is, of course, marked by label politics that delayed a quick follow-up to their debut album, Lord Willin', forcing them to dominate the mixtape circuit with their seminal We Got It For Cheap series while crafting Hell Hath No Fury with a chip on their shoulder. Let's fast forward here. So if you expected the album last summer, the brothers sympathize. So did they. Pusha says they felt confident, proud, and assured of themselves when they presented the music to Def Jam. The label loved what they heard, except for Kendrick Lamar's guest verse on the thunderous Chains and Whips, the final version of the song that Pharrell teased at his first LV runway show. And the song Pusha says was the first to come out of their sessions. Don't be fooled by Pusha's interviews appealing for one last guest verse and the Twitter jokes that he went to GNX tour dates to physically walk Kendrick into the nearest studio. K-Dot's verse homework has been turned in for quite a while. But after the summer of beef between the two biggest artists resulted in an ongoing lawsuit from Drake, Def Jam's parent company UMG blanched. Interesting, I've never heard that used in that particularly. All right. Blanched at the antagonistic optics of two of Drake's biggest enemies linking on wax. Pusha calls their apprehension stupid, primarily because none of the bars in Kendrick's otherwise excellent verse could be perceived as a shot or even subliminal. It does, however, contain the stellar line, "Therapy taught me how to open up. It showed me I don't give a fuck." All right. So Pusha can barely contain his disgust recounting the stalemate with Def Jam and how it played out. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing. And then they wanted me to take the record off. And so after a month of not doing it, Steve Golly, the lawyer over there, was like, we'll just drop the clips. But that can't work because I'm still there, solo. But if you let us all go. So sure enough, Def Jam eventually agreed to release the clips and drop Pusha as a solo artist, freeing the duo up to shop for a new home with a finished Clipse album and plenty more music in their pockets. Ultimately, Pusha says the endeavor was gratifying. It felt good to even see how other labels were buying for the project. Now, as they teased last week with a picture from the front desk, with a picture front of the label's plain insignia, they've ended up at Jay-Z's Rock Nation where they feel supported and energized. I think that synergy, just in a rap sense, is going to speak volumes. Talking about the partnership. It's kind of wild. Let's go back to the video.
Well, they're thinking more about perception, lawsuits, and
Drake?
Yeah. You're thinking about that other than just culture.
Because it sounds like it's like we don't want to be in the news any more than we need to be. This is one of Drake's previous enemies, per se. So maybe they thought about that as well. But
what about Pusha T, though?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You're
that's
willing
what I'm
to
talking
sever
about.
that entire relationship.
That's what I'm talking about. Because
based on one verse that Kendrick gave them. And if anything, this is, if I'm running Def Jam, I want to get in on the Kendrick Lamar business too. Like, why are you threatening to censor and anything that's got Kendrick's name or voice on it at this point is up for discussion.
That's a very good point that Jay makes. And I've talked about this in the past. Like, I recently went through all of our segments and I, just itemized based upon the talking point, what did well, what didn't do well. And the commonality that we've had across the board is every time we talk about Kendrick, our numbers are like 5 times better. People are still looking for all that stuff. People are still looking for him. He's just that artist right now to where, like, it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, just strictly on paper as it is, for them to go away from Kendrick in this manner unless there are other things at play.
For me, they look stupid to sever ties with such an established group. I can see if you got somebody you like, we don't really need y'all, but the Clipse, I think there's anticipation about this record. I think people are looking forward to it, and a Kendrick feature would do wonders to me. So why would you sever all of your ties with the Clipse off the fact of trying to censor a verse? To me, that's stupid.
I mean,
that's hustling backwards.
Unless
to me.
Kendrick was really talking.
I want to know what he was talking about at this point.
But again, I just read the whole thing, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I mean, if we're going off the word of Pusha T, doesn't seem like there was much there.
Because to me, they look bad in this.
And Pusha T and Kendrick have worked together, more than once, I believe.
They don't miss.
Yeah. So their relationship and their ability to create great records, there's a track record of that. So I just think there are bean counters and weirdos at the top of Def Jam right now who don't care anything about culture and don't care anything about Pusha T or Kendrick's artistry. They're just thinking about people's feelings and lawsuits or whatever. I don't really get this move. I think it's if you're in the business of trying to sell records, and you say we're going to sever ties over one verse by Kendrick, on a Clipse reunion record, I don't see where from a business standpoint where that makes any sense, and from a cultural standpoint, it's just as bad of a move.
100% agree. Like I said, on the surface, this is kind of stupid.
Unless they're trying to pick up Drake. Unless Drake's name is in those boardrooms, and this was a way for them to alleviate both the Clipse and not have a Kendrick verse out there trying to draw him over. That could be a possibility.
Pusha T.
I didn't think about that.
And Drake have had their situation before, and he's been on Def Jam.
Only situation going.
No idea what just happened there, but I'm gonna have to look at that.
Went on. You don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. That's the only reason I can see from a business point that they would decline even putting out this album, which was finished because it had a Kendrick verse on it. You have somebody who already had a back and forth with Drake, that being Pusha T.
Yep.
We see how that went. And then you have them both on the same record, which is going to net sales and is going to put eyes on the Clipse who are under the Def Jam umbrella.
Facts.
So to me, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me if they were doing something like that, trying to draw him in. But there's also people that work at these record labels who have no idea of what they're doing. Def Jam isn't the same record label as it was back in the 80s
like
and
Russell
90s.
and Leor or even.
That is interesting though. Like, but to Terry's point here about them trying to draw him back in, it's very interesting because there's the lawsuit with Drake and UMG too. So I don't know how feasible that really is. I wonder if it's just interesting lawsuit things. They just don't want to. I don't know.
Even Kevin Lyles are up there.
They're not there. So, I mean, they had Jay-Z on the record label at the time when. Well, no, he was a president, but was he working there when the Blueprint came out?
No,
or was that afterward?
That was afterwards. Like the first album he put out after his presidency of Def Jam was Kingdom Come.
Okay, never mind that then. But I mean, that's the only reason I can fathom them doing that.
But think about it, like when we talk about Def Jam in 2025, who's on Def Jam?
Right.
I don't know.
It's not the same. It's not the
used to
same
be,
label.
We knew It was Redman. It was Method Man. It was Ja Rule. It was.
All right, so here is who's actually on Def Jam.
Okay.
So here we go. LL Cool J, Justin Bieber, DJ Khaled, Pusha T, Big Sean, YG, Jadakiss, Jeremiah, Wale, Fabulous, Janae Aiko, Coco Jones, 2 Chainz.
You know, like if they made Def Jam Fight for New York Part 2, I wouldn't care about playing with none of these characters.
That's pretty much the end of the segment for the most part. Let's get over. I'm going to go back to this. So here's another piece right here. So earlier when discussing Def Jam clutching their pearls over a Clipse and Kendrick record, Pusha said it all reminded him too much of 2018. And yeah, that was when the story of Adidon came out, which was Pusha T's classic diss of Drake. Weighing in on Drake and Kendrick's ongoing feud, namely Drake's decision to sue UMG over releasing Not Like Us, Pusha elaborates on what he meant. I will say this, Pusha shares, admitting he's no bar-approved counselor with intimate knowledge of the suit. If Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it's only because he knows all the things they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon in the verses and the records and things that were happening back then. He alludes to instances in which he says label machinations muddled, if not are outright nixed the release of verses in which Pusha talked his shit next to people closely affiliated with Drake, as he did on Rick Ross and Lil Wayne's Maybach Music and a posthumously released Pop Smoke song with Young Thug. He says, I don't rate him no more. The suing thing is bigger than some rap shit. I just don't rate you. Damn, it's like it just kind of cheapens the art of it once we got to have real questions about suing and litigation. Like, what? For this? So here he kind of alludes to, you know, just the bad blood. It seems like it's still related to Drake somehow. Like it's still, it feels like what Terry was saying in the clip, even though I don't really understand how it makes sense. Personally, somebody please elaborate and help me out here. But like, it seems like it's still related to Drake somehow. It seems like it's less of a, you know, you can't say this, but more of a, there's something going on with Drake and we need to protect him. That's what it feels like. But I don't know if that really makes any sense. So yeah, I don't know. You know, my general take on this is good for Pusha for being able to, you know, I don't know if it's in this article because I haven't read it all the way thoroughly, but I heard he spent 7 figures to get off, like he paid to get out of his deal. If that's the case, you must have really wanted to get out of that deal. But I will say good for him if this, you know, number one, we're going to get a Clipse album and it's coming, I believe, July 11th. So that's cool. But also, you know, he has a little bit more control. He's happy with this situation. You know, he's out of that. So, you know, good for him. Good for the Clipse. I do think it's extremely wild that labels have the audacity to try to censor an artist such as the Clipse and Kendrick Lamar and just censor artistic expression in that particular type of manner. That's not any type of entity that I want to be a part of at all if I'm an artist. Like if I'm every single other artist on this label, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I need to get away from this. If I'm an artist that is looking at potentially signing with Def Jam, I'm thinking, let me go somewhere else. Like this is not a good look for Def Jam in their future endeavors when it comes to this space, and especially in the era where most all of what a label does pretty much anymore is find somebody that's already really kind of popping and then just put more power behind them. If you're an artist out there and you've got a buzz on social media, you don't need a label. They can't take you to another tax bracket. I'll give you that. But if you're just trying to be comfortable, if you're just trying to make a lot of money, have all the freedom to put out the music when you want to put it out, do the things when you want to do, not get super involved in the machine, you can do that and be super, super, super 1%, top 1% successful, and not have to deal with any of this type of headache. So that's all I have to say about that. I'll be interested to see if any more information comes out about this, but that's crazy. I can't imagine. What could he have said? And apparently he said nothing. So it's got to be about Drake. It's got to be. Anyways, this is from episode 439. If you want to check out the full segment on this, we talked about a handful of other things as well. In our full uncut episode for 439, we talked a lot more about the Clipse and more than just this part that I kind of skimmed through. So, all right, see you next time.